We need to build a wall, and it has to be built quickly.
Good morning. It is 6 minutes past the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? I'm Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by our friends at Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. You can listen to the show on about every app out there. I'm not going to list them. I list them all the time. You should know the score by now. The FM dial, Super Talk TV, also up and running. YouTube and Rumble are the big ones. Smash the subscribe button. Help us grow the digital footprint of the radio station. Free to do, and we appreciate it. Why would you want to watch a radio show on your television? We'll have video elements for all the audio that you hear on your radio. It adds something. I do believe it adds something. And then if you miss any of the show and you want to go back and listen, it's always there for you, and you can skip through the commercials. But we love our advertisers at the same time. So do both. Listen to the show. Listen to the commercials, use our advertisers, and then go back and then skip all the commercials. Sounds like a good plan. Do both. Everybody has enough free time for that.
Yeah, it's a double feature.
You don't have to worry. Yeah.
Best choices.
You know, it's not like you're going to be working or anything today.
Bah.
You know what I mean? It's not like you had like family and kids to go home to and deal with. No. It's not like it's the middle of baseball season or anything.
Bah. It's WTN or nothing.
We had our first baseball game last night.
Oh, yeah?
We had two of them at the exact same time.
Let's go.
Fields directly across from each other.
Nice. You have Winnie Whiplash from whipping back and forth?
I basically did my best impersonation of a ping pong ball all night, just going back and forth, back and forth. But it was awesome. Both games resulted in a loss, but I think that there's a lot more learning moments in those losses.
Oh, for sure.
And also at this age, I mean, my oldest son is 8. He's in kid pitch, which is a different animal. And then my youngest son is still in coach pitch. But, I mean, dude, at this age, it's like, take the L's, man, and just keep having fun. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They both left the game feeling great.
Good.
There were snacks to be had.
That's always a positive.
There were some cookies. There were some Auntie Annie's gummy bunnies.
Brings up the mood a little bit.
So nobody was really disappointed walking out of there.
Yeah, they'll be fine.
Everybody was in high spirits. We got another game tonight.
Let's go.
Dude, honestly, brother, I'm living at a baseball field.
Yeah, you're there through most of your weekend.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm there all weekend. I'm now there during the week, and I might become a tent person and just stay in the woods. I might do it.
For all of our sakes here, please don't do that.
I'm thinking about it.
We might have to put a lock on the door for your studio.
Feel like
can't have you leaving during the show.
I just live at the ball field now. That's where I live.
It could be worse.
Oh, it's awesome.
Yeah.
I wouldn't trade it for the world. I mean, this window is like so short as a dad that like you just have to embrace the chaotic energy and enjoy it.
Yeah, enjoy every minute of it for sure.
And we do. We have zero res for all the baseball dirt.
Yeah, for real.
Dude, there's a lot of baseball dirt.
I bet it's all over the place. Before zero res gets there.
We cleaned our garage last weekend, and we already have baseball dirt everywhere. It's just Okay. It's tough, you know.
Gonna have more after tonight.
Occupational hazard. And then my son, I grew up outside of Boston.
Mm.
This is like, I feel like this league is torturing me on purpose. Last season, we were on the Mets. Ugh, yuck. This season, my oldest son is on the Yankees. He said, "Don't worry, Dad. I won't bring this stuff in the house." He said, I'll leave it in the garage.
I'll leave it outside in the rain.
One slow tear just rolled down my cheek. Just so proud. So proud
of you.
We got a lot to get to today, and we're really excited to have you here with us. However you may be listening, wherever you may be joining us from, we're going to talk about Iran. Markwayne Mullin got confirmed. That's big news. We'll dive into that. We'll also talk about the airport chaos that is no longer there because Donald Trump sent ICE in. And surprisingly, listen, if you had listened to the Democrats over the weekend, they were very panicked that families were going to be shot by ICE inside the airport. I was just so nervous about this, could hardly sleep last night, but I have good news. No families have yet been shot by ICE. I say yet because we all know that's just around the corner. As long as you listen to your favorite Democrat politicians like Dick Blumenthal, ICE is going to be shooting families at airports. Don't worry. Stay safe. Stay alert. But no, nobody's been shot yet. I don't even think anybody got arrested. I think were just mulling about. You know what else they didn't do? Wait in lines for hours upon hours. Yep, that's a fun fact, and we'll detail all of that. We're also going to talk a little bit about the SCOTUS decisions coming soon on the mail-in ballots. They've been hearing arguments about that. What does day mean? I just imagine Ketanji Brown Jackson just. You ever see the meme where the guy's doing like all the calculus and like the fireworks are going off behind him? He's got the glasses on. That's how I pictured Ketanji Brown Jackson trying to figure out what day means.
Except for he's distracted by the flashing lights behind him.
Yeah. It's like the thinking music.
What does it mean?
What is it? It could mean anything. It could mean anything.
Anything.
I was talking to a friend yesterday, and I said, unless you're a 12-year-old girl, day usually means just one day. I give that preface because I too have a 12-year-old girl, and her birthday is a birth week. You know what I mean? It's a birth month. It's a birth weekend, and then there's the post birthday days.
I'm trying to find the confusion there.
You know what I'm saying though?
Yeah.
So
no, I've yeah.
Is Ketanji Brown Jackson smarter than a 12-year-old girl? I don't know.
Who knows?
I don't know. We'll find out. I think the real question is Amy Coney Barrett smarter than a 12-year-old girl? Because I think that's the big question mark when it comes to that conversation. Amy Coney Barrett's always the big question mark. I didn't even really hear what she said. I just always worry about her.
Yeah, it's a word salad.
Yep. Oh, and we also had the president in Memphis yesterday. I don't want to drop the ball on the big local story. I mean,
no, that's huge.
He had a huge team with him too. It wasn't just him. Bondi was there. Patel was there. Stephen Miller was there. Governor Bill Lee was there. They were rocking, man. And we'll bring you all the audio from Memphis as well. I have the chunk of Memphis stuff that we'll do when we're talking about Memphis, and then I also have some of his other comments because, as always, President Trump takes questions from the press wherever he goes. So there was a lot of questions while he was in Memphis about Iran and about the government shutdown. I believe he was asked about the Save America Act as well. So we'll bring you all those comments throughout the day. We got a packed show. As always, you're welcome to join. In fact, we encourage it. We would rather have you guys join. I think it makes for a more vibrant conversation. 615-737-9986. That's the phone number. That's the text line. You can also jump in the chat over on YouTube. And I think the YouTube chat's been on pretty good behavior this morning. I always get a rundown from Dan. He says, look out. Look out, Fly Girl's on one. That's what he said the other day. He's like, be careful. She's on one. He said, look out for Thundercleese. He's on a tear. I'm just kidding.
Just ripping through.
I'm just ripping through the names that I can remember. Look out for that Cosmo. I said, did she do anything in particular? He said, no, just look out. I said, okay.
No, all I've got so far is she's saying good morning.
Off to a rocky start. So we'll keep tabs on the YouTube chat as well. Let's begin with Iran. This was yesterday in Memphis, where the president was talking about the Iranian regime, calling it splintered and destroyed. The numbers support it. The numbers support it. When you look at it, what do we got? 9,000 plus targets struck, 9,000 combat flights, 140 Iranian vessels damaged or destroyed. They're down at the bottom of the ocean. The president has been doing a fantastic job when it comes to executing the strikes. Now, I understand the Strait of Hormuz is still not open, and that's a big topic of conversation. But the president is like, let us cook, man. And I'm going to give him the space and grace to let the man cook.
As I announced earlier, based on preliminary conversations between the United States and Iran over the past 2 days, I've directed the Department of War to temporarily postpone planned strikes against major energy and electricity targets in Iran. They have very, very big, new, actually, and very expensive, billions of dollars it costs to build them. One missile, one of our powerful ones, and it comes down to the ground like it was made out of dust. But to determine whether a broader agreement can be reached, we've had very good discussions, very, very good discussions. And you have to understand, I know my whole life has been a negotiation, but with Iran, we've been negotiating for a long time. And this time, they mean business.
He's been negotiating a long time. This time, Iran means business. Now, a lot of people have taken a bit of a opposite stance with Trump's comments. That never happens, right? When Trump says something, they say the exact opposite. But with the Iranian negotiations, is he negotiating? The media seems to think that there's no chance. A lot of people are calling this taco. Trump always chickens out, and that they knew he was going to move the deadline. But Jesse Waters yesterday on the 5, he's like, are we really doing this? That the fake news is going to believe the Iranians over the president? Is that what that's what we're rolling with now?
So I was on a news blackout because I was on assignment. And I get back and I see that Trump's announced he's negotiating with the Iranians, and the Iranians said, no, we're not. And the U.S. media believe the Iranians. So it's like, all right. The Iranians do lie, guys. They said they had no intentions of building a nuclear weapon. They just last week said they sunk an aircraft carrier of ours. So obviously they're lying to look tough.
I tend to agree with them. I mean, they also lied about the distance that their missiles could go, and we saw with the Diego Garcia attempted hit. It fell apart. One of the missiles fell apart midair. The other one was engaged. 2 missiles were fired towards Diego Garcia. It was 3,700 to 4,000 kilometers away, which is about double what the previous stated range, maybe a little bit less, of their missiles before. But it brings in a whole host of cities and nations into the crosshair of Iran. Yeah, the Iranians lie. Weird. And who knows why they're lying when it comes to the negotiation with President Trump? Do they not want to get killed by their own people? Do they not want to look soft? I mean, there's all sorts of things that it could be. I mean, I remember when Soleimani was taken out, they had to launch a retaliatory strike, and they kind of signaled where they were going beforehand. So we get all of our people out, and then nothing would happen, and they would say, ha, look at what we did. We're so big, and we're so strong. And then it was like, all right, perfect, conflict over. So we'll see what happens. But the president was touting the advances that they've made in Iran and the strategic objectives that they've completed yesterday while he was in Memphis. And I don't know if you're watching on the stream, but he's doing all of this. And I got a little nervous. I don't know. Did anybody else get a little nervous? He's doing all of this, and there's like boxes of meth in front of him and like firearms that they've seized. And one of them is like pointing up in like the general direction of the president. I was like, can we just tip that thing over to can we point that side? I don't think they're loaded, but I don't know, it made me uncomfortable. But the president was talking about what they've done in Iran yesterday in Memphis.
They mean business. They want to settle, and we're going to get it done, I hope. So hopefully this will be possible, but no matter what, we'll ensure that Iran never obtains a nuclear weapon. They can't have a nuclear weapon. They would have had one if we allowed the Obama deal to stand. That was the Iran nuclear deal, they called it. They would have had one. Marcia 3. But I tell you what, Martha, we would have nuclear weapons up there when, would you say, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, or 4 years ago, we would have been in a position that nobody wants to be in. We won't allow ourselves to be in that position. Over the past 3 weeks, the United States military and our partners have been decimating Iran's military capabilities with overwhelming firepower, skill, lethality, and force, and we're destroying their ballistic missiles and drones programs with launchers down by more than 90%. We're hitting their launchers at a level that nobody even thought of before. 90%. They can't launch them, and they don't have very many of them.
So that's the president yesterday in Memphis touting the advancements that they've made in this operation, this escalation with Iran, and he seems pretty confident about everything. He says, listen, they would have had a nuke much sooner if we had kept the Obama-Iran deal in place. I think a lot of Iranians would be more happy with an Obama-type administration currently than the Trump administration. Scott Jennings actually took that argument to a leftist on CNN last night.
Miles, do you think that the Ayatollah prefers his life under Obama or under Trump?
Look,
Probably Obama, yes?
the Ayatollah's dead.
There you go.
You heard it here first.
Yeah, I think things were much better for them under Obama. We got a lot more to get to. Phone lines are open, 615-737-9986. My name is Chris Hand. It's 9:21. This is Super Talk, 99.7 WTN. Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand here from my friends at Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners. These guys got you covered. We had some weird smells coming out of our water with sulfur. It smelled sulfury. So we had a water filtration system installed. We also had hard water, so we had a water softener installed. I can't tell you how weird it is for your kids to be excited to drink sink water. But they have been gung-ho about drinking sink water lately. It's like it's the hottest trend in the Hand household. But it could be the hottest trend in your household as well. If you got some weird smells coming out of your water, if it tastes bad, then you should call Better Water LLC. They'll test your water for free. You could actually have some nasty stuff in there. That's sulfur that I was talking about, iron, chlorine, bacteria, even E. coli. Now, they'll test your water for free. If you have any of that nasty stuff in, they offer a range of options that work. Reverse osmosis, water softener, specialized filters, UV lights, you name it, Better Water has you covered. Give them a call today and say, Chris Hand said you'll test my water for free. You know what they're going to say? They're going to say, right away, sir. Right away, madam. That's how they're very polite. They're very polite, and they're going to test your water for free. 615-355-6063, 615-355-6063, or check them out online, betterwater.com.
There could be a new plan to fund DHS in the works. We'll tell you what's happening there in Congress at 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
That's Joe Jones in the newsroom. My name is Chris Hand. The show's brought to you by Better Water LLC. Water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. We got a lot to get to. You can listen to us anywhere. iHeartRadio, tune in the FM dial. You can watch us Super Talk TV, YouTube, and Rumble. Smash the subscribe button. So do you remember Sweep the Strait? We were playing that a few weeks ago. I mentioned the Strait of Hormuz.
Yeah, we played it for...
SweepTheStrait.com. Some guy made Minesweeper from the 90s from Windows, but he remade it, and it was the Strait of Hormuz.
Which is awesome.
Oh, I got an update.
Interesting, wild.
So 4460 texted in, and he goes, speaking of the Strait, and he sends a screenshot of him playing the Strait of Hormuz. And I was like, wow, people are still playing this? I rage quit like last week.
I rage quit like a month ago.
I basically rage quit before I began.
Like 3 years ago.
I rage quit when I was 9. Anyway, he sent me this screenshot. And he goes, I'm down to 2 mines left. And it has the counter. And it's an unbelievable feat.
That's impressive.
That is
That's
news.
impressive.
That is newsworthy, 4460. And I was looking at this, and I'm very excited for him. And then I got an update right as we cracked the mic. Said I'm down to 2 mines left. And I blew it. With a bunch of swearing emojis. The red-faced anger emoji with all the curse, the at symbol and let you know the emoji's cursing.
Oh, he's swearing, but it's censored in a way.
Oh, it could be any 4-letter word. Any of them. But, congrats.
Congrats on your...
Congrats on getting so close and then failing.
So far.
People be failing.
People be failing.
It's not, listen.
People be mining.
People be mining, people be failing. A lot of people are pointing at this hell of a radio segue. A lot of people are pointing at the Operation Iran as a failure. But when you look at when you actually break down the numbers, it's hard to call what the Trump administration and our military is doing a failure at all. And I understand the Strait of Hormuz is still not open and running at full capacity. Trust me, I understand that. And that is a huge hurdle that we need to get over. But when you look at the numbers, the operation has been devastating so far.
This as we get some new numbers on the stats of Operation Epic Fury. 9,000 targets struck, 9,000 combat flights, 140 Iranian vessels damaged or destroyed. From the weekend strikes, you can see all over the country of Iran, Israeli and U.S. strikes hitting various targets.
And if you're watching us on Super Talk TV, this is one of those points where the video actually adds an element to it because it has the map of Iran. And then it's got all the little dots from where the strikes have occurred, and they have been on target. Confirmed airstrikes, reported airstrikes, report of explosions with footage, report of explosions without footage. And have you seen some of these viral videos of the explosions? I've never seen missiles hitting like this in HD. It's pretty wild, man. It is something to watch. Just praying that it's over quickly. 9:30, we got a lot more on the way. Right now, though, we're stopping down for the headlines with Joan Jones on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Well, the black boxes have been recovered from an Air Canada Express jet that slammed into a fire truck late Sunday at New York's LaGuardia Airport. 2 pilots killed, dozens of passengers were injured.
Preliminary data from Flight Radar 24 shows the plane was traveling between 93 and 105 miles an hour at the moment of impact. Passengers describing what it was like on board.
The sounds were people frantic, screaming, and it felt like we were just gliding down the tarmac.
And then there were a couple seconds of silence where I think everyone thought, this is it for us.
A flight attendant was reportedly hurled from the plane, still fastened in her seat, but thankfully survived.
A miracle. ABC's Gio Benitez reporting there. Republican lawmakers getting behind a plan to fund DHS. It involves agreeing with Democrats to fund everything except ICE, and then passing funding for ICE, along with funding for the Pentagon and voter ID in a reconciliation package. Reconciliation only requires a simple majority vote. In Nashville, the TSA wait times remain very low, under 10 minutes this morning. Nashville was not one of the airports where ICE agents were sent to help ease super long wait times like they were in Atlanta. By 5 o'clock last night, Fox 5 reporter Ray Yalerna was showing only about 10 people in the TSA lines. He, however, reported that the lines don't look too bad.
Travelers say they have mixed feelings about the extra attention from federal law enforcement at the world's busiest airport.
They don't belong in the airport.
I know people may not like this, but if the way it is right now, if ICE has been part of the help, then we need more of them. Simple as that.
Hartsfield-Jackson Airport website no longer says how long it takes to get through security. Now it simply tells passengers to get to the airport 4 hours early. That is the latest news. We've got your weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand here for my friends at Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. It's that weird time of the year where you're turning the heat on in the morning to get the chill out of the air. And then by the afternoon, the AC's got to go on because the house is too hot. Well, you want to make sure that your system is humming year-round, especially in this in-between time where you're using both. So get yourself a Beehive Club membership. Members get priority scheduling, discounted repairs, free annual HVAC and plumbing checks, and extended warranties, plus that peace of mind knowing your equipment is always running at its best. Maybe you know that your equipment isn't running at its best. Maybe your AC went out at the end of last summer. You've been kicking the can down the road. I don't blame you. I've been there. But now is the perfect time to get it replaced before the hot temperatures get here and stick around for good. You can get a 16-SEER high-efficiency HVAC system with some amazing TVA rebates right now from Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, and they'll file all the rebates for you. You don't have to do any of the paperwork. You just have to save the money. That's a pretty good deal, right? Well, they'll make it even better by throwing in a Yeti Tundra 45 cooler for free when you upgrade. That's from my friends at Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Give them a call today, 615-775-7833, 615-775-7833, busybeehvac.com. 37 minutes past the hour. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by our friends at Better Water LLC. Sometimes I feel for the YouTube crowd because we don't get to play the bumper music on YouTube because of copyright infringement. I would gladly infringe.
I'll give them a little taste.
It's the bosses that get mad at me when we infringe. They say, "Are you infringing again?" And I tell them, I say, "People be infringing.
People be infringing.
They don't think it be like it is, but it do.
But it do.
People be infringing every day, bro. You'll be all right." That's what I say. And he says, he said to me, if you infringe one more time.
You're a serial infringer.
He's like, there is going to be hell to pay.
To be fair, I think Murphy and Chad have you beat on music stuff.
That's fair. Like I said, people be infringing. I don't know why the heat's always coming down on me. Sometimes the YouTube chat just needs to hear a little Mobb Deep Shook Ones Part 2 as well.
Yeah.
It's one of the greatest songs of all time.
So good.
But you re-listen to it as an adult and you're like, what the hell was I doing at 12 listening to this?
This should not have been on my playlist.
No, it shouldn't have. Where were my parents? I often think this. Oh, where were they? I don't know. Love you, Mom. Love you, Dad.
No idea.
Dude, I used to sneak the worst parental advisory CDs. My first one was Kid Rock.
Oh, yeah.
Devil Without a Cause. And that one was the hardest because you had your Discman. And Kid Rock wanted to make it extra tough on all of us kids who were getting the parental advisory CD. And he put a huge middle finger on the actual disc.
Nice.
So like if I put it away in the CD case, it would always be the shiny side up.
Yeah. It just looked like a blank CD.
It looked like and then you'd have to like quickly flip it and close it. Like there's nothing here.
Nothing.
Don't even worry about it. What do you listen to? Just songs about cowboys?
Toby Mac. Oh wait, he wasn't. DC Talk.
I'm just listening to songs about cowboys. No big deal.
Talk about.
It's fine. It's fine. There's just
I love westerns.
Yeah.
Chris, you hate westerns. Cowboys.
People be westerning. Is that a thing? So 615-737-9986 if you want to get it here.
So funny.
Have you this is just for the YouTube audience. Have you seen that Netflix is making a new documentary on the Ayatollah?
Shocker.
The new one,
yeah. It's, what are they up to, like 3 now?
Ayatollah 2, Electric Boogaloo.
I see the preview.
Do you see it? So there's rumors that he's gay. And somebody made a Netflix documentary on him. It says, would you say Gayatollah?
I was about to say.
Or Gayatollah?
If you're going for it to hit, I think it has to be gay.
The Gayatollah.
Gayatollah.
And it's he's wearing the little shing, but it's rainbow.
It's not just that's rainbow.
There's a lot of rainbow.
His entire fit.
Yeah. The drip is rainbow.
Suits him.
It does. And, it only shows him from the shoulders up, so we don't know if he's missing a leg in the photo.
True.
Fact check, true. I mean, when you look at the numbers, it does look like we're doing a number on Iran. And we played some of those numbers a moment ago. 9,000 plus targets struck, 9,000 plus combat flights, 140 Iranian vessels have been damaged or destroyed. And everybody should understand that that's success. That is some success right there. Chuck Schumer was asked about the success. He was asked about it by Morning Joe. And they said, listen, you got to give the president some credit here, right? Like he has done some good things. And to his credit, Joe Scarborough continued to press Chuck Schumer while he was on the show about the U.S. and the U.S. and Iran conflict.
Sees that they have real leverage here, right. That it's harder and harder.
All right, so Senator,
here's how we ought to get out.
No, hold a second. Okay. You got to answer my question first.
Yeah.
Is it a good thing that Iran, and I think you would agree with me, epicenter of terrorism in the world since 1979, is it good that their military infrastructure is being degraded to the degree that it is? Yes or no?
It's you can't, because it's a premature question. What is going to happen in the next several months?
No,
That's not a premature question. Is it good that their military infrastructure has been destroyed today? It's a premature question. It's not. It's a very current question. Is it good that we have had 9,000 plus targets struck? Is it good that 140 plus Iranian vessels have been damaged or destroyed and now sit at the bottom of the ocean? Is it good that we have been able to secure the airspace over Iran and execute 9,000 plus combat flights? Is that good? Well, it's premature, he says, but it's not. It's not. Nobody said, did we win the war? Nobody said, are we in a better position now than we were before? I mean, you could argue that those are premature questions. This question is not premature. And to his credit, and I don't like giving the guy credit. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of looking at a lib like Joe Scarborough and being like, hey, you did a decent job there. But to his credit, he didn't let Chuck Schumer get away on saying, oh, it's a little bit further out when we have that conversation. It's a little premature. He didn't let him get away with it.
I can ask that question.
Well, you can't separate.
No. I can't. So you have a military side of it. I can show you my chart, but I think I threw it away. You have the military side, and you have the political side. I'm simply asking on the military side, is it good, regardless of whether we agree with going in or not, is it good that Iran's military infrastructure has been seriously degraded?
I have to.
I just want to paint the picture. For those of you that are not watching on YouTube or Rumble, you're not getting the video aspect of this. During this whole line of questioning, Mika looks like she's smelling a fart, right? Am I right? It looks like somebody farted in church, the expression on her face, as she watches this back and forth between Chuck Schumer. I don't know who she's disappointed in. I don't know if she's disappointed in Mr. Morning Joe or if she's disappointed in Chucky Schumer. But she is not having a good time while this is back and forth is going on.
Tell you, Joe, first, you can't. What's going to happen 3 months from now? Is it worth it? What's going to happen? Will the world economy collapse? Will something happen even worse? Will the whole energy infrastructure of the world go up in smoke? So you have to, when they do it without planning, they do it without understanding where they're going.
Senator.
Where they're going,
but
I don't think it's fair.
It's a trick question.
No, it's not. It is.
If you do not strategize the consequences of the action, the military action, if you obliterate and do all these things, but you don't actually play it out in your minds and have strategy for the consequences, then it may not be good.
Let me answer the question for everybody in America. The answer, yes. It's good that the terrorist regime, their military has been, and capabilities have been degraded radically.
That is actually a super hot take for somebody on the left. Can we acknowledge that? The fact that he went on TV on MS Now, of all places, and said, we can say that the military degradation that we have seen, thanks to the United States and Israel, for Iran, is a good thing. And it is. It is. They don't have a Navy. They don't have an Air Force. We've gone after all of their missile launching sites. We have severely degraded their nuclear capabilities. These are good things. And objectively good for both sides. But I don't hear a lot of liberals talking the way Morning Joe's talking here. And I think we'd have a better conversation if they were just honest. Chuck Schumer can't be honest. Even Mika, who's looking like she smelled a fart in church, saying, it's a trick question. It's not. It's not. He clearly laid it out. Military only. Politics aside. Is that a good thing? Chuck can't answer it. Because he can't, nothing in him can give Trump credit for anything.
The question, Mike, though, is political. It's the political question.
No.
What is the political impact? What's the impact in the Straits? What's the impact in the region?
Joe, in all due respect, if you ask the American people, if you have the choice of degrading the military structure in Iran, but having gasoline be $6 a gallon, and our economy falling into a deep recession where millions lose their job, what do you think Americans
Senator, you're not
would say?
listening to me. That's the political side.
No, it's not political.
Okay.
It's a consequence, just like Mika said.
All right, why don't we talk about the Yankees, because you're not following me here.
Jeez. Harsh. Also, gas is not $6 a gallon. I know diesel's more expensive, but the Trump administration is trying to do things to remedy that situation. And I'm going to give them patience. I think that they have until about the second week in April to really wrap this thing up. And I think that they're looking at that as like the end of the timeline. I hope so. because if the gas prices don't begin to go down, then this is going to be a much larger national conversation. If it is that blip on the radar screen that the Trump administration has been openly admitting and discussing, then I think that the American people are going to forget about this come midterms. But we have to see those prices go down. I think we're all recognizing that. I don't think anybody's saying that high gas prices is a good thing. And I think a lot of Americans, if you did ask that question that Chuck Schumer posed, would you be okay with degrading their military if it meant $6 gas? I think a lot of Americans would say no. But if they said that you could take out a major threat in the region, create some stability and a bit more peace for 2 weeks of high gas prices, 3 weeks of high gas prices, I think that changes the calculation a little bit. That question is premature to answer. We don't know what that looks like down the road. But to say today that it's premature to say if it's a good thing that their military capability has been degraded, I think that's just asinine. Classic Chuck Schumer at his best. He says you can't answer that. It's a premature question. Okay. President Trump, though, still touting the successes that they've had. He did this yesterday in Memphis, talking about the war on Iran, saying over the past 2 days, he's directed the Department of War to temporarily postpone planned strikes against major energy and electricity targets in Iran to determine whether a broader agreement can be reached. Now Iran has one more opportunity to end its threats to America and our allies, and we hope they take it. Either way, America and the entire world will soon be much safer. That was the president yesterday in Memphis. I mean, we're tracking the story as best we can. It's constantly evolving, and it's hard to keep up with. And then all the news that you get on this, it's filtered through some form of propaganda. I mean, there's a filter on it, whether it's the filter from the Trump administration, the filter from the left, the filter from Iran, the filter from Israel. You really do need some discernment when you're looking at this topic, and take things with a grain of salt. Be skeptical. I think that's the good way to be. I'm skeptical that this thing ends by mid-April. I hope it does. I'm optimistic it does, and I'm going to give the president the grace and space to complete his objectives. But the longer this goes on, the more questions that remain. And the longer the Strait of Hormuz remains closed, the more questions that remain. I hope that gets cleared up very, very quickly. But only time will tell. Premature to answer those questions. Is it premature to say that degrading their military is a bad thing? No, I don't think so at all. It's 9:50. This is Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand here from my friends at Zero Res Nashville. As a husband and a dad with four kids, 2 dogs, I almost had to do a count in my head. Do you ever do that? Do you have a lot of kids? I know you don't, but I do. So I'm like, how many kids do I have? 4. That's right. 4 kids, 2 dogs. The carpets take a beating. And this time of year, we're always looking for ways to keep the house healthier. We're coming out of flu and cold season, and we got baseball season starting. So this is the perfect time for my family to call Zero Res. Might be the perfect time for your family to call Zero Res. But what stands out to me is that they don't use harsh chemicals or soaps that leave residue behind. That means the carpets aren't just clean, but they're also safe for the family and the pets. The kids can roll around. You don't have to worry about what's in the fibers. It fits right in with the whole Maha idea of keeping our homes healthier. And the difference is obvious right away. The carpets look better, feel softer, dry faster than any cleaning me or my wife have ever done before. And I'm not the only one noticing. Thousands of 5-star reviews. These guys are the absolute best, and they got 2- and 3-room carpet specials going on right now. 615-535-9376, 615-535-9376, or find them online, ZeroResNashville.com.
Coming up, a child shot in the head in Hopkinsville. And the Supreme Court's taking up a fight over asylum seekers today. We've got those stories coming up at 10 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
That's Joan Jones in the newsroom. My name is Chris Hand. Headlines on the way in less than 3 minutes. In the meantime, 615-737-9986. That's the number to call and text in. On the show is brought to you by our friends at Better Water LLC. On the way, I want to bring you that press conference from President Trump in Memphis, where he touted the just absolute success of the Memphis Safe Task Force. And it really does show what can be accomplished in relative short order when you have local government working in unison with federal officials. Even Steve Cohen gave the president some credit. I know. He wasn't eating chicken or anything either. He was just giving him credit. He was on CNN yesterday, and they asked him point blank, do you give President Trump the credit for what's been going on in Memphis?
I just lastly want to ask you, Trump is taking some credit for bringing down the crime in a district that you're well familiar with there in Memphis. Do you give him some credit for that?
Give him a little bit of credit. We need more policemen. We're about 1,000 short in our police force. So having additional FBI agents, having additional DEA agents, having additional alcohol, firearms, tobacco people. There are other federal law enforcement groups that have increased their enrollment here in Memphis. They've helped.
Give him a little bit of credit. I don't know. It doesn't sound like a ringing endorsement, but when it comes to Trump derangement syndrome and the Orange Man bad crew, I feel like that's about as good as it's going to get. I give him a little bit of credit. I think that means he deserves just about all the credit. And the federal enforcement that has swept across Memphis has been a resounding success. Everybody agrees. Left, right, center. Kids can ride their bikes again. You can go out past dark, and it doesn't feel like you're in Baghdad. All good things. Even Steve Cohen gives the president a little bit of credit. We'll bring you those comments on the way from President Trump as he departed on to Memphis yesterday. You know, he also went to Graceland. He's hanging out at Elvis's house.
This place is nice. I might buy this.
I thought it was a cool moment. He's like, who doesn't love Elvis?
Oh yeah,
dude. Honestly, when my 8-year-old was a baby, he was crying all the time, man. And we could put on "Amazing Grace" by Elvis, and he would stop instantly.
I mean,
dude,
I'd probably start crying.
It was the craziest thing. So like one time we were doing like a family Christmas photo. Like the whole family, Virginia's whole side of the family, all the cousins. There's like 20 of us. And Brooks is just wailing. The entire family starts singing Amazing Grace, and he stops. That was in Virginia. The ride home, we had to have listened to that song 500 times. And it would end, and he would start crying. And then we would immediately, it was on repeat, so you'd have that 1 second buffer. And as soon as the piano would hit again, he would stop.
Interesting.
The president, big fan of Elvis.
Have you been here before, Mr. President, or is this your first time?
I've never been here, no. I'm a big fan of Elvis. Who isn't, right?
Who isn't? 10 o'clock, Super Talk, 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. An investigation underway now into a shooting that left a child seriously injured in Hopkinsville last night. Here's Channel 4's Marius Payton.
The child was shot in an incident at a home on East 9th Street in Hopkinsville. The child was flown to Monroe Carroll Jr. Children's Hospital at Vanderbilt.
Channel 5 reports that shooting was accidental. A judge has dismissed a bankruptcy filing from the owner of Uncle Nearest. The judge saying that the CEO and co-founder Fawn Weaver lacks the authority to file that bankruptcy claim. It comes after the Tennessee whiskey brand was hit with a $108 million lawsuit from its creditors. They claim that Weaver failed to fulfill its obligations to the lender and defaulted on its loans. The new Secretary of Homeland Security will be sworn in today at the White House following a 54-45 vote in the Senate to confirm him last night. Oklahoma Republican Mark Wayne Mullen has now resigned his seat to take his new job.
The vote to confirm the incoming secretary had 2 Democrats crossing the aisle to support Markwayne Mullin's nomination. John Fetterman of Pennsylvania and Martin Heinrich of New Mexico voted with every Republican except for Kentucky Senator Rand Paul. Paul pointed to what he called Mullin's anger issues in voting no. Oklahoma's Republican Governor Kevin Stitt will now appoint a replacement senator who by state law cannot run for the seat in November.
ABC News national correspondent Stephen Portnoy. More Iranian bombs are falling, and there's concern that these attacks could upend President Trump's efforts to end that war with Iran.
A barrage of missiles intercepted in the skies over Israel. Many of those Iranian missiles are packed full of indiscriminate cluster-type bombs. Only 10 people injured in Israel in last night's attacks. This morning, Israel's defense minister saying the IDF will continue to strike Iran with all its might.
That's ABC's Tom Sufi Burridge. And happening today at the Supreme Court, justices are hearing arguments over whether President Trump has the constitutional standing to refuse asylum seekers from entering the U.S. Immigrant advocates have challenged the administration. The Trump administration has been effectively blocking the entry of all non-citizens at the southern border. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
It's 10:06 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by our friends at Better Water LLC. Water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. So it was about 13 years ago. My wife got a job, and it was a big deal. She was a record rep for Capitol Records. She was very excited at the time. We both were, and we were moving to Detroit. That's where they wanted us based. We were like, okay, we can do that. That'll be fun. We'll it'll be an adventure. And her market covered the whole Midwest, right? Including Nashville and Memphis. So they said, we'll have you traveling around, Cleveland and Cincy and Columbus and Pittsburgh. And, you're going all over. Nashville and Memphis are also in your market. She said, okay, cool. They said, we need you traveling everywhere. And we're like, okay. Like, she's like, yeah, she'll do that. No problem. Everywhere except Memphis. We're like, why? They're like, it's too dangerous. And we like pumped the brakes for a second and we said, you're moving us to Detroit. And they said, yeah, we can't have you going to Memphis. That was my first introduction, really, to how dangerous Memphis could be. I had always heard the stories and heard it was a bad place, but I never really ranked it up there high mentally. Maybe it was just like my own block and I hadn't spent enough time in Tennessee or in Memphis. But I had never, I never thought of it as a high crime city like Chicago or Detroit or New York. It just didn't, even though it was up there on the stats, it didn't come to top of mind the way those other cities do until that moment. And I remember my wife going, well, why? And they're like, well, one of the radio stations that you would be visiting, there's bullet holes all in the front of it. We're like, oh, say no more, fam. We won't go to Memphis.
Yeah, maybe not. Maybe a big no.
So, that was my first introduction to how dangerous Memphis was. Again, that was 13 years ago. And since that moment, it became eye-opening how bad Memphis is. Governor Lee yesterday said Nashville is the heart of the city of the state of Tennessee, but Memphis is the soul. And I get that vibe and I get that energy, but the soul needs some work, right? Like they need some repair there. And President Trump recognized that, and he stepped in with the Memphis Safe Task Force in conjunction with Governor Lee, which I think you could argue that this is one of the biggest accomplishments of his tenure as governor, is this partnership here. I mean, there will be people that will point to school choice, and there will be other people that say, what are you talking about with the school choice? But I think on both sides of party lines, a lot of people can look at Memphis and say, that is your major accomplishment here. And it's because of your willingness to work with the Trump administration to make this city safer. And for that, I think that we all owe Governor Lee a thank you. There are kids in Memphis now that can ride their bikes through the street and not have to worry about catching a stray. There are kids that can go out after dark without having to worry about crime. There are elderly citizens in Memphis now who don't have to stress over being carjacked at the gas station. Are all the problems gone? No. But are they cleaning it up fast? Yes, record fast. And President Trump was in Memphis yesterday to talk about the involvement that the federal government is having in Memphis.
But for years prior to our involvement, Memphis had become known for something else, being the murder capital of the USA. That's not a good title. It was averaging far more than one murder per day, with a crime rate higher than Colombia, Mexico City, or Baghdad. In the year, I shouldn't be saying this, but here's the good news. It's been fixed, all right? I hate to say this because it's so negative. It's so negative. In the year before I took office, Memphis saw more than 12,500 violent assaults, 429 rapes, and 7,600 burglaries and armed robberies. And I mean, it was getting worse. This catastrophe was a result of years of local politicians, judges, and prosecutors who sided with violent criminals over law-abiding citizens.
Worse than Baghdad, worse than Bogota, Colombia. That's what Memphis was. That's insane, right? Like, can we all agree that that is insane? That a city in Tennessee was that bad? That they let it get that bad? President Trump says, don't worry, it's getting better. And the guys that are out there protecting those streets, National Guard members that have gone down there and been on these task force, as well as in D.C. and New Orleans, and on border security missions, they got a bonus for all the hard work that they've been putting in yesterday from the president while he was in Memphis.
So today I'm pleased to announce that the Secretary of War used to be the Secretary of Defense. We made a minor change. We like the sound of it better.
It's Secretary of War now. Don't dead name.
The Secretary of War just signed a directive to ensure that all National Guard members serving on this task force, as well as in D.C., New Orleans, and our border security missions, will receive the same benefits as active duty troops because you deserve it. That's not bad.
That's a big announcement from the president. All of the National Guard members serving on this will receive the same benefits as active duty military. That's a big win. And we should be recognizing these National Guard soldiers as the heroes that they are in these communities. 100%. And they're absolutely putting their lives on the line. I mean, do I need to remind you about what happened in D.C. with the Afghan national that was brought in under Joe Biden? I don't. You understand what time it is. These guys are absolutely putting their lives on the line. And when they do that, they see tremendous accomplishments. The results that they're seeing, unprecedented.
But just as we have in D.C., here in Memphis, we've achieved one of the largest, fastest declines in violent crime ever recorded. So that's something, right? Ever recorded. In fact, you're half a percentage point away from the record, so we'll catch them in the next month or two, all right? I think that's going to happen. But that includes a 60% drop in robberies, a 74% drop in carjacking, and motor vehicle thefts. We have always achieved numbers that are good. These numbers are right on line to be among the best that we've done. And wherever we do this, we have very similar results.
60% drop in robberies. So 6 out of 10 robberies that were happening in Memphis last year just aren't happening anymore. 74% of carjacking. So 3 out of 4 carjackings that would have happened last summer in Memphis just aren't happening. Incredible. Unbelievable. Robert in Nashville wants to talk about Memphis. What's up, Rob? How we doing, man?
Hey, how are you, buddy? Good to talk to you again, Chris.
Likewise.
So my wife and daughter and myself just got back from Memphis. It's a yearly thing for my daughter's volleyball. There's a big tournament out there every year. We were there last year, and my head was on a swivel, and you could just tell the areas were just tough, and everybody was antsy. There was one car stolen from one of the teammates, and another one was involved in a hit and run, literally. We go back this year. We actually talked about not going, but we did because of everything that President Trump had done with the National Guard and all of that. And the Airbnb that we stayed at, the owner we actually got to speak with him. It was in bottom part of his house. Was so thankful that, and I'm just telling you, it was night and day this year versus last year. We were walking around. We felt safe. It was just the vibe, just everything was just completely different in a year. It was amazing.
And that's how it should be, man. And not just for you guys visiting, but for the people that live there. For the people, you said that you talked to the owner of the house. Okay. Well, he's probably doing a lot more Airbnb business now than he was before.
Huge. And he wasn't for a year or two. He had not recommended restaurants around just because of, safety. And he had just started. And, the funny thing was he said, everybody talked about the National Guard, and they were, he didn't realize they had actually been there. By the time that hit the media, they had already been there for months.
Yep.
And he just said they were so thankful, and they weren't an imposition or anything just shows you when you work together how you can clean up things.
Amen.
I mean, we were walking, my daughter is Kennedy's age. They're the same age.
Yep.
I think a month apart or whatever. And we're walking around with her just having a great time. And
I love to hear that, man.
Night and day versus last year, man.
Well, and
anyway, thanks for all you do.
And likewise to you, man. Keep being a great dad. I appreciate the call. I mean, for me, I'm like, okay, maybe a Memphis Grizzlies game is in the forecast for the future. Maybe I will feel a little bit more comfortable going down there with my 6 and 8-year-old to catch a ball game or something like that. But the numbers are drastic. 60% drop in robberies, 74% drop in carjackings. I don't even think he got to the murder numbers yet.
We were in New Orleans where the governor called us, as you know, and we went to New Orleans. They just had Mardi Gras. They said it's the first, it sounds terrible, but it's the first Mardi Gras we've ever had where there was no murder. Can you imagine? Doesn't sound too good, but, we're talking about the facts. And they said we had the lowest crime that we've ever had on Mardi Gras, which is almost nothing. We went there about 4 months ago. We did a great job. So we've achieved a 70% reduction in murders from the peak in this place. In total, we've arrested 7,000 criminals, seized more than 1,100 illegal guns, taken more than 1,000 pounds of illicit narcotics, and rescued more than 150 missing children, making their parents beyond happy.
I mean, that's incredible. And think about the impact of that. Like, yeah, the parents are overjoyed, but the grandparents are, the aunts and uncles are, the cousins are, the friends are. I mean, the ripple effect on that is massive. 7,000 criminals, 1,100 guns, 1,000 pounds of drugs, all taken off the streets. Steve Cohen. I give the president a little credit. I'll give him a little credit. Okay, I'll take it. Hey, you don't have to give the president any credit. Here's the spoiler alert. You don't even have to. I'm just happy seeing the results. And I think even the Democrats are happy seeing the results. And I think even Democrat voters are overjoyed with the results. Am I wrong? Let's go to Brian on the road. What's up, Brian? How are you?
Good, bro. No, you're not wrong. Can you be a fool to say this guy's not doing things to improve this country and that he doesn't love this country? He's being held back. If he could do everything he wanted to, it'd clean up a lot more stuff.
Yep.
I'm very close to the Memphis dynamic, I'll call it, because I've been there a ton of times, and I've got a niece, as I was telling Mason, I've got a niece and a nephew. My nephew may be running for public defender next year.
Let's go.
He's a liberal, so is my niece. Pray for them because they don't, they know better. They weren't raised that way. In fact, my brother-in-law and sister used to go down there when they get the Tennessee River going west on 40. My sister would say my brother-in-law gets a little giddy. He's a Vietnam war hero. He passed away in December. And he used to get a little tight around the edges, she said, because he's going into Memphis. And that doesn't come without some natural inclination from the war, from being in a war zone.
Right.
People kill me, like you just said a minute ago, people kill me saying they didn't know Memphis was that bad. Well, on a large scale, you think about what you just mentioned with all the statistics on the guns and the drugs and all that, for a small city.
Yeah.
I mean, that ought to tell you. There's a common denominator to this. Nobody wants to say it because it's racist sounding. But there's a common denominator to a lot of this. Detroit, Cleveland, Washington, D.C., but nobody wants to talk about it. I'm not going to mention it here because I think I'll come across as somebody I'm really not.
No, I mean, you can. There's ways to go about the conversation. I mean, you could say that 13% of the population commit 50% of the violent crimes, and that's factually true. I was like, but you can also say that there's a large number of fatherless homes, and that is the biggest indicator on whether or not you're raising good, upstanding citizens or you're raising criminals. Do you have a dad in the home? And in a lot of these big cities, the government has come in and they've incentivized the woman to replace the father in that relationship. And with all of the government benefits, there's no benefit to having the dad in the home. So it's a very complex problem that goes, I think, well beyond skin color.
Well, 100%, but some cultures buy into that easily than others. Here's the thing. You're exactly right about a fatherless home. But where does that appear the most? And when you said incentivize the women not to marry, not to marry one guy, much less 4 or 5 or 6 or whatever they do. And it's on both sides of the aisle, bro. It ain't, you can't paint this with a color brush. You have to say everybody, they sell their soul. That's what they do. People do it in their jobs every day. When you were saying, yeah, we'll move, I was thinking, don't be so fast on that, Chris. You're a very upstanding father who you do a lot, too. You work hard. You're very smart. You're very articulate. I'm not blowing you up because I want to be on the radio. I'm not. I listen to you every day that I can. And, you deserve to have the family you have because you work at it. It'd be easy to give up and move on. You were a hip-hop guy.
Yep.
You know how easy that could have been back in that culture. But that's what it is. It's a breakdown in the culture. And President Trump, as many times as he's been married and people throw up stuff, I saw a sticker in Clarksville yesterday that said immigrants are not illegal, but our president is, or the president. I don't think it said ours.
Okay.
So I got beside the car to see. Yeah, I wanted to see what that person looked like. It was Hispanic, but it makes me sick that people feel that way and they can't cross the line. They can't. It's like saying, well, we have to have some blacks on the jury because it's a black man being tried, or whites on the jury because it's a white man for him to receive fair. That's not true. That's a lie from hell.
I'm with you.
That's all I got, bro. I just wanted to call and put my 2 cents in. I'm sorry.
Hey, no. I appreciate the call as always, Brian. I'm with you on the moving stuff. I mean, there was a time where we could have moved to Phoenix, and I was working for Charlie, and they wanted me down there, and they wanted me to be the media director. And I remember before I got offered this gig, I remember having a conversation with my wife saying, I think we might be doing the kids a better service being baggers at Kroger than being the media director for Charlie in Phoenix. And it was just because of the city. I mean, I couldn't see raising them anywhere but here in Middle Tennessee. Just a culture difference. Like not even a knock on jobs, but I'm just saying, like, I pick, like, okay, what's the easiest job I could grab? Well, I could go work at Kroger and probably do better for the kids than moving them all to Phoenix. But how did Memphis get that bad? The president broke it all down. Years of terrible leaders. He also talked about how many gang members they got off the street. Did you hear that? It's like almost 1,000 gang members. I'll bring you all these comments and more on the way. There's a lot more to get to. Plus, we have our friend Josh Tifo from Turning Point USA, Turning Point Action, coming in at 11 o'clock. A little bit of time, but we want you to hang out with us. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand here for my friend Aaron Parker over at Parker Safes and Vaults. Gun owners. Well, actually, anybody storing valuables. It doesn't have to be guns. Guns are great, but maybe you're stacking precious metals at home. Maybe you got none of that, and it's just like you don't want to lose a photo album. Well, let me give you a piece of advice, okay? Just a quick piece of advice. Don't buy a safe because it's on sale. A lot of the safes that you're going to see at big box stores, they look super impressive, but they're built for marketing. They're not built for real protection. And if a teenager can pry open or tip over your safe, you bought a filing cabinet. If you want a safe that actually protects what matters, you call Parker Safes and Vaults in Shelbyville. They carry well-known brands like Liberty and Rhino metals, but also high-security safes from companies like Graf Under, American Security, ISM, and Incas. Safes built to protect those firearms, the precious metals, the cash, the passports, and the family heirlooms. Aaron Parker knows security, Air Force security veteran, and this is a true family business. Aaron and his sons handle everything themselves, every install, every delivery, discreetly and professionally. They run a YouTube page, too, where they have a video review of every safe they have in stock. Search Parker Safes on YouTube or give them a call today. 931-842-6445. 931-842-6445 or find the whole inventory online, parkersafes.com.
what the Trump administration is saying today about talks with Iran. And even CNN has to admit that things are much better after the ICE deployment at airports. That and more at 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
That's Joan Jones in the newsroom. Headlines on the way in less than 2 minutes. My name is Chris Hand. The show is brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. We've been detailing this press conference from Donald Trump yesterday in Memphis. There's a lot more to get to. But he was asked, how did Memphis find themselves in this position? And, I mean, you know the answer already. I think we all know the answer. It rhymes with Schmemocrats. Is that what it rhymes? I think, yeah, it rhymes with Schmemocrats or Schmibberl. Maybe or Porge Koros. I think you could rhyme it with that as well. I don't want to give anything away.
Buck Boomer?
yeah, Buck Boomer. For Barack Obama. It reminds me.
Nancy Pelosi.
Oh,
wait. Rhyme.
For years, our leaders allowed entire cities in America to be destroyed by crime, drugs, and gang violence. Tolerating this violence was always a choice. 19 of the 20 most dangerous cities in America are run by Democrats. I'm surprised. I thought it was 20 of 20. I don't know why it's 19. I don't believe it. It's like I heard it was 25 out of 25. Well, I'll find out about it because I don't believe it's right. Whoever wrote that statistic is wrong.
Get him out. Get him. Don't give him his coat. Get him out. Ooh, I don't believe it. Only 19 out of 20? It's got to be. Those are rookie numbers. You know what it is, though, right? I think it was Dallas. Was it Dallas voted in a Republican mayor? I think that. Fact check me on that. I think it was Dallas just voted in a Republican mayor. It might have been Miami. It's one of those two. I know it was one of those two. But I think that's why it's 19 out of 20 currently.
But under the Trump administration, we believe that no city or neighborhood should be left behind.
Amen.
In Memphis, the crime became so horrible that residents were made prisoners of violence in their own community, in their own home. But with the help of the great people right here at this table and right here, it's a whole different story right now. It's changing fast, and it'll be record-setting in a very short period of time, and I'll be here to celebrate it with you.
That was the president yesterday in Memphis celebrating the accomplishments of the Memphis Safe Task Force. He doesn't know. He doesn't know about the list. 19 out of 20 are run by Democrats, the most violent cities in America. Did you find which city was? Was it Dallas or was it Miami?
Miami is saying that last year they just voted in the first Democrat in a while.
Okay.
And I'm not finding anything on Dallas yet, but I'm scrolling through.
All right. Well, one of the super texters will know. I know it was one of those cities just voted in a Republican. So maybe that's where the 19 out of 20 comes from. But Trump, not happy about that. Very happy about Memphis. We'll bring you more of his comments on the way. It's 10:31. This is Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Iran is continuing to rain missiles and drones on its neighbors. ABC reporting the United Arab Emirates intercepted 5 ballistic missiles and 17 drones so far today. And there's serious damage in Tel Aviv after an Iranian missile barrage. Meantime, the Trump administration is not confirming if or when in-person talks will take place between the U.S. and Iranian officials in the coming days, calling the situation fluid. Congressional Republicans say they may have a path to get TSA agents paid. Senator John Kennedy.
The idea that Senator Cruz and I came up with was a two-step process. First, we accept the Democrats' offer to open everything but ICE, and then step 2, we open ICE ourselves. With a reconciliation bill.
Now, the problem may be with President Trump. He has said there's no deal unless the Save America Act is passed. Republicans say they may include portions of the Save America Act in the reconciliation package. A look at Atlanta's Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport this morning. There's hardly a soul to be seen at the TSA checkpoint after a 6-hour wait for travelers yesterday. CNN even admitting that ICE agents on the scene are making a difference.
A lot of folks are saying they're very pleasant. Look, they're not wearing masks. In fact, on this line right here, you can see two of them standing behind the TSA agents. I'm not sure we can get complete focus on that, but just wanted to show you that they've been walking around the perimeter. Atlanta police have also been added to this equation in terms of showing up extra patrols. But the story right now, Sarah, quite honestly, is the fact that the lines have disappeared. We haven't seen this like in a week.
That is CNN's Ryan Young reporting. That's the latest news. Your weather is next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand here to tell you about my friends at the Glock store. I love these guys. I was just over there, 2 weeks ago now for the Force on Force training. That training is unbelievable, and you should really get yourself some of that training. But while I was there and waiting and, moseying around the sales floor, I was talking with Dan over at the Glock store. I said, how are things? I'm making small talk. I'm like, how are things going? What are you guys working on? That kind of thing. And they told me they're actually already working on the Glock store's 6th annual open house, which is happening Saturday, May 30th. And I said, oh, cool. So that's, you got a couple months to figure that thing out. And he said, no, we're starting now. I said, you're starting now? I said, yes. And then it clicked. It all made sense to me. I've been to open houses before, and I've been to a few of the Glock stores' open houses, and this is a different kind of open house. Bar none, this is the best. Great speakers, demonstrations, shooting competitions, vendor tables with factory reps, factory swag, and the biggest and best open to the public free gun gear raffle in all of Nashville, probably the entire country. It's probably not just Nashville. It's probably the whole country. Last year, they gave away over $25,000 in incredible raffle prizes and 3 Glocks, including a Glock store custom Glock worth over $2,000. They don't just have an open house. They're just giving away free things. How many Glocks are they going to be giving away this year? That's the question I asked. They said they don't know yet. That's what they're planning. But they're going to let us know very, very soon. The Glock Store's 6th annual open house is on Saturday, May 30th. You should plan on being there. I know I am. Minutes from the airport, worth the drive from anywhere. Glockstore.com.
For years, our leaders allowed entire cities in America to be destroyed by crime, drugs, and gang violence. Tolerating this violence was always a choice. 19 of the 20 most dangerous cities in America are run by Democrats. I'm surprised. I thought it was 20 of 20. I don't know why it's 19. I don't believe it. It's like I heard it was 25 out of 25. Well, I'll find out about it because I don't believe it's right. Whoever wrote that statistic is wrong.
That was the president yesterday in Memphis during the commercial break. Me and I almost called you Memphis.
Me and Memphis.
Me and Memphis. Mason over there. We were doing some fact checking. The outlier on that list, Jacksonville, Florida.
Jacksonville, Florida.
Clean it up, Jacksonville.
Straighten it out.
Or we'll do it for you.
What are you doing?
With love, the
Step
Trump
it up.
administration.
With love, big hearts.
Heart emoji, bottom text.
But under the Trump administration, we believe that no city or neighborhood should be left behind. In Memphis, the crime became so horrible that residents were made prisoners of violence in their own community, in their own home. But with the help of the great people right here at this table and right here, it's a whole different story right now. It's changing fast, and it'll be record-setting in a very short period of time, and I'll be here to celebrate it with you.
This is just like what we're seeing with the Memphis Safe Task Force, I do believe is a pebble in the water. And I use this analogy with my kids all the time, where like say something nice to somebody. Like you don't know how that's going to ripple out. And it does. It always ripples out. And the pebble can be very, very small, but the ripples always get very, very big, no matter what size rock you're throwing in the water. And the same is true when you do something negative, right? Like, and I say this to my kids a lot, is that be the pebble in the water, like whatever it is, how big, how small, I don't care. But make sure that your ripples out are positive and it affects people. There's something really good about that. And I think about that as we're looking at Memphis and what the ripple out looks like for this. When you got 6, 7, 8-year-olds who can now go outside and play, who are going to have a better childhood because of it, who aren't going to be raised in that culture of gangs and violence, you think about the ripple out on that, like that's going to impact generations. And I'm so grateful to the federal government for doing what they're doing here. I'm also grateful, to be fair, to the local governments for the partnership that they've displayed. The Democrats didn't stick their nose up and kick and scream too much. They for the most part, welcomed this assistance. And that partnership has changed lives. It's going to change generations in this city. And that is truly amazing. Like, all of the big press conference stuff aside, there is a 5-year-old kid in Memphis who is going to grow up into an upstanding adult because of these actions, because of something as simple as being able to walk down to the gas station and grab a candy bar without having to fear being shot. It's hard to wrap your head around the positive impacts that are going to come out of this. But I do think that this is a moment where we should appreciate that. It's going to change lives. It's going to change so much, man. And so, again, grateful to the president, grateful to everybody working with him on this. When you don't have to worry about the gang members in the community, you can just get back to being a community, which is really cool. And you don't have to worry about the gang members. Pam Bondi was also there in attendance. Kash Patel was there. Governor Lee was there. Pam Bondi, Donald Trump, Stephen Miller. I mean, it was they had the whole squad. They were rolling deep. Pam Bondi, do you know how many gang members they took off the street? Damn near 1,000.
Thank you, President Trump. You know, some people choose to tolerate crime, but you chose law and order. And that's why this task force worked. It was all of us, as Gaddy said, working hand in hand with my FBI, DEA, U.S. Marshals, ATF, with Kash, with Terry, with Rob, with Gaddy. Not only that, with Pete, with Department of War, with Homeland Security, with all of my agencies working hand in hand with the National Guard. When you went out there, when we came to Memphis, you could not tell who was with what agency because everyone was working so well together. Our U.S. Attorney, Mike Donovan, was out there. And not only does everyone needs to know, we met with this president multiple times about this endeavor. The president knew what was going on here. The president cared. People like Alice Johnson sitting in the front row, who is a Memphis resident, she told us what a horrible crime problem there was. And I think the unsung hero in all of this is Stephen Miller. Stephen is the architect of making all of these plans work. Stephen, thank you. Thank you.
It is nice when you see them giving credit to others and not just grabbing the credit for themselves. And I think we see that a lot more in the Trump administration. It's a lot more we messaging instead of I messaging. It's a lot more about the team as a whole and how they can be greater as a whole than the sum of their parts. And we see that every day. Pam Bondi giving the credit there to Stephen Miller for being the architect. But she's saying over 770 gang members have been taken off the streets in Memphis so far.
And just two very brief examples. There was a horrible murderer, Arsenio Davis, who last October committed a gruesome double homicide. He killed his mother and dismembered another person.
Scumbag.
And based on this task force working hand in hand, he's off the street. Another example, a horrible monster who's charged with raping a small child. This task force, all of these members working together, arrested him. We can give you countless examples of that. Over 770 gang members off the streets. And we know there's no normal day for a law enforcement officer. We know it's so dangerous what our law enforcement officers do. But know this, Donald Trump and this administration, we have your backs.
And that's on display every single day. I think law enforcement feels that backup. Democrats will gnash at their teeth and violently kick and scream and yell that Donald Trump is militarizing our streets. And I would just point to that story from Pam Bondi. Would you rather have a monster on the street who is raping young children? Or would you rather have the scary paramilitary force of Donald Trump? I mean, I think the answer is quite obvious. And I say Democrats more as a whole. I understand that a lot of the Democrats in Memphis are pretty welcoming to the results that they've had here. And the results are there, man. I mean, the proof is in the pudding. It's 770 gang members off the street, horrific, violent offenders off the street, 1,100 guns off the street, the 60% drop in robberies, the 74% drop in carjackings, the 70% reduction in murders. It is an unbelievable success. I mentioned this earlier, and I think it's worth mentioning again. I'm not the biggest Governor Lee fan. I'm not. I don't know if I've told you that before. I think he's kind of slow to get into the game sometimes. I feel like a lot of times in this state we're like waiting to see what Texas and Florida do first before Tennessee gets in the way, right? And I feel like Tennessee could be more of a leader, and I think that's been one of my criticisms on Lee. But what he did here with the Memphis Safe Task Force kind of puts a hole in that narrative of mine. Because this is Governor Lee being a leader and working with the federal government to generationally change Memphis. And when we look back on the tenure of Governor Lee, I think you're going to look at this, the Memphis Safe Task Force, as one of his crowning achievements. Like this is the achievement. You can make the argument for school choice, but I think that there's just as strong of an argument against it. But the Memphis Safe Task Force, go ahead and tell me how this wasn't a good thing. Is there any liberal or Democrat in the audience that can tell me why this wasn't a good thing? Phone lines blowing up. Obviously not. Governor Lee did something really good here. He was also at the Memphis Safe Task Force, and he wanted to talk about that generational change that he wanted to create.
We oftentimes say Nashville's the heart of Tennessee, but Memphis is the soul. And great businesses here, remarkable people, a true, rich cultural history, but a serious problem. And I want to tell you, even for me, today's a very important day, even personally. I'm a man who has loved this city all of my life. My grandparents, my mom born and raised, my family here. As a young kid, spent time with my cousins roaming the community, the neighborhoods in this city. But sadly, for decades, that was not possible for children to do safely anymore. And to watch this great city be plagued by crime like it has for decades was a very tough thing for Tennesseans to do.
And if you don't believe the crime that was plaguing this city, well, you've been living under a rock. But if you're watching us on YouTube, you'll see the massive amounts of firearms and drugs in front of this round table of the team that made Memphis safer. Massive amounts of drugs, massive amounts of firearms, all taken off the street. This is a huge win.
But as was said earlier, what's happened in the last 6 months has changed that story entirely. And because of your leadership, Mr. President, putting together the Memphis Safe Task Force, putting these people, this leadership team in place, funding and making possible resources that have never before been made available to a city like has been made for Memphis. Because of that, because of the leadership here, and especially these men and women of law enforcement and the National Guard, who have, in fact, gone shoulder to shoulder with not only the multiple agencies involved, but with the people of Memphis. What has happened here has created generational change and will create generational change, and it could not have happened except for what's happening and what we're celebrating here today. So the people of Memphis are grateful. This governor is grateful. I thank you for the work that's happened. And we are looking to the future. We believe that great things lie ahead for this city. There's a lot of work yet to be done. The General Assembly, and we are working together with the General Assembly to create legislation that will make certain that this is a lasting effect for our city. I'm very hopeful for the men and women of Memphis that have prayed for a long time that the violence would stop, for the businesses that have held strong to create jobs and opportunity for Tennesseans. I have a lot of hope for the future. I do believe and have believed all my life that this is a great city, and now it is on a trajectory of greatness beyond where it's been in the past. Thank you for that. And
generational change coming to Memphis. I do pray that this is a lasting change. I pray that in a few years we'll be able to look back and be like, do you remember when Memphis was as dangerous as it used to be? And I hope that that's the narrative moving forward. It seems like the Trump administration is not slowing down. Governor Lee there himself saying that they're looking to make this as permanent as humanly possible. We'll be following the story. Kudos to the Memphis Safe Task Force. This is some good news in Middle Tennessee. It really is. Who doesn't want another city that we can go hang out in, right? Like, why wouldn't we want Memphis to be safe? It's easy to dog on a bad city, but it's a lot harder to clean it up. Trump administration, though, doing it in short order. Kudos to them and the local officials as well. We'll be following this story as closely as humanly possible. It's 10:51. This is Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Elon Musk's privately funded tunnel from downtown BNA.
The most cutting-edge transit systems in the world.
They call it the Music City Loop. We call it the BNA hole.
We've submitted a list of questions, and so we're looking forward to the opportunity to get answers.
Questions like, how does a tunnel work? Or how can I be the biggest a-hole in the room without even trying? Because clearly, the fiscally responsible thing to do is to keep traffic backed up until every driver becomes an a-hole. The BNA hole. Zero cost to the taxpayers, and that's the real problem for the left.
I kind of think that's on brand.
Not enough opportunity to play tax collector a-hole. The BNA hole, where progress goes to upset liberals.
President Trump gives Iran another deadline. We'll tell you about it at 11 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Can you fill me in a little bit?
I can't do that, Brother Chris.
The king of the tease, Ken Weaver in the newsroom. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. He'll pay off that tease in less than 3 minutes. My name's Chris Hand. The show is brought to you by Better Water LLC. We got Mason Fleming producing. Josh Tifo's back in studio, Senior Director for Turning Point USA and Turning Point Action. I think that today may be your most controversial take. The phones are going to be blowing up.
Ooh, are we talking about the pot for potholes thing or something else?
We're doing pot for potholes.
So Chris and I, before we go on air, we'll talk about 7 different things. So if you reference like, oh, that one thing, I'll be like, oh man, what was the most controversial thing we've talked about in the last 6 minutes? The pot for potholes thing. So the Tennessee Democrats are hilarious. They're trying to posit this like the only way that we can fix the roads is if we just legalize pot. And by the way, this is a bit of a controversial take on both sides. I don't understand why it is illegal as an adult to use marijuana if it's legal to use alcohol. But I think it should be highly illegal to smoke it outside so anyone else has to smell it, especially a kid walking down the street. Also, I think it should be highly illegal for anybody to be operating any sort of vehicle. And I say this wrapped in the greater truth that I think that it's insanely stupid to do drugs, including marijuana. I think you're a deadbeat. I think that your life is going to take a negative direction the more of that you introduce into your life. But I don't understand why it's legal to get drunk out of your mind, but it's not legal to do an edible. As much as I'm against it, I don't understand that argument.
I mean, I think that part of your argument where it's like you become a loser, I think that's true when it's the 13-year-old who begins smoking every day and then doesn't have any energy or aspirations to do anything else. I think it's a little different when it's a 40-year-old guy who has created a business and is winding down on a Friday or Saturday night.
I understand that, but still, you're making a poor life decision. If you are going to drugs to feel okay about your life, there's something fundamental you need to fix about your life. And again, we're making a moral argument here, not a legal argument. I go all the way back to the early 1900s when we had that huge prohibition battle. How did prohibition work out? It created an enormous industry running alcohol, and which actually led to NASCAR, which is great because a lot of those guys who are the shine runners then were super good at driving fast cars, and then they created racing leagues for them, and that's how we got NASCAR, which is hilarious.
Silver lining.
So we got some silver lining there, but this is an argument that I run into a lot, especially on campus. At what point can you and can you not legislate morality? At a certain level, you have to legislate morality. When we drove here, there were no naked people jogging on the side of the road because at a certain level, you have to decide to legislate morality. But one great way to do it is compare it to other things in society. And if I can walk down to Broadway and get drunk out of my mind to a certain level, as long as I'm not getting arrested for public intoxication, if I get it together and get in an Uber and make it home without committing any crimes, then I don't understand how you can have an explicit ban on all marijuana. That being said, it is terribly unhealthy for you spiritually, mentally, physically. We see a lot of evidence that it quite literally unlocks worse psychiatric disorders, especially when used by children and teenagers. It is a blight on society. But I understand the argument. I mean, if I can drink, then why can't I do this? I understand that.
So we're opening up the phone lines, and we'll have an argument about this on the way. 615-737-9986. Josh Tifo in studio. My name is Chris Hand. This is Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Yeah, just because we think something's dumb doesn't mean we...
Eleven o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Drivers, we've got rolling roadblocks through Brentwood, and it is blocking the right 2 lanes of 65 southbound right there at Concord Road. In Pegram, we've got some fallen power lines, Sam's Creek Road just south of Sam's Creek, and in Hermitage, a crash, Old Hickory Boulevard at Dodson Chapel Road. Operation Epic Fury. Iran insists no talks with the U.S. have taken place, saying anything otherwise is an attempt to influence the stock market and the price of oil. President Trump now giving Iran until Friday to make a deal to end the war, backing off his threat to hit and obliterate key Iranian electrical plants if the country didn't reopen the Strait of Hormuz by last night. Meanwhile, ABC's Tom Sufi Burridge is in Israel.
A barrage of missiles intercepted in the skies over Israel. Many of those Iranian missiles are packed full of indiscriminate cluster-type bombs. Only 10 people injured in Israel in last night's attacks. This morning, Israel's defense minister saying the IDF will continue to strike Iran with all its might.
CENTCOM releasing new video of U.S. strikes on Iranian military sites, saying 9,000 targets hit in Iran so far. But after 25 days of the war, Iran's still demonstrating day after day they can strike back. An American researcher who spent years living and working in Afghanistan has now been freed by the Taliban. Dennis Coyle was detained for more than a year. We get more from ABC News Chief Foreign Correspondent Ian Pannell at the Foreign Desk.
64-year-old Coyle was held for more than a year. According to the family, he was kept in near solitary conditions. The Taliban have never said what he was accused of, other than saying he'd broken local laws. In a statement, the Afghan Foreign Ministry saying he was released on the occasion of the Eid holiday after an appeal for compassion and pardon from Coyle's family. At least 2 other Americans are believed to be still being held there. Ian Pannell, ABC News, London.
On day 39 of the funding lapse, sparked by concerns over immigration enforcement, there are new signs of movement, at least among Republicans, on a proposal that would see TSA workers and other DHS employees getting paid. ABC News national correspondent Stephen Portnoy with the latest from D.C.
The conversation now taking place among Republicans has them talking about funding every component of DHS except for ICE. After that, the GOP-led Congress could move to a reconciliation package, which Democrats in the Senate couldn't block by themselves, that would fund ICE and possibly add in the voter ID and citizenship requirements that President Trump has insisted on. Just days ago, the president rejected this idea, but after a White House huddle last night, Republicans came out of it hopeful that they'd be able to move forward with the plan.
That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
.1107 Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. The show is brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. In studio with Turning Point USA and Turning Point Action Senior Director Josh Tifo. Welcome back to the show. As always, a little Tifo time. People need it. We're talking about marijuana. And the phone lines are open, 615-737-9896, because it's more fun. More fun.
We got to have some fun. And I love talking to your listeners. You have the best listeners.
We do. Honestly, this audience is unbelievable.
It's the people in Tennessee who actually work. My favorite people.
Dude, they're the best. Recreational Legalization Pot for Potholes Act. HB 2025, SB 2440. The sponsors are Afton Bain and Heidi Campbell. Both have been invited on the show. We're waiting to hear back. The key provisions would legalize adult use recreational marijuana for people 21 and older, allow possession of up to 60 grams, about 2 ounces, permit in-home cultivation of up to 12 plants in a secure, non-visible area, create a regulated commercial market for growing, testing, processing, and selling cannabis, and impose a 15% sales tax on cannabis business with revenue directed primarily to roads and bridge repairs, hence the potholes, plus some community investments. Update workplace drug testing and criminal laws to reflect legalization. It's scheduled for hearings this month. It failed in a similar form last session, but returned with some momentum from shifting national attitudes. The shifting national attitudes could be Donald Trump reclassifying it, correct?
I mean, it definitely could be, but I've got two questions. Number one, would you be willing to add to that legislation, making it a felony to ever use it in public so that kids see it and smell it? And also, would you be willing to make it a felony for you to operate a motor vehicle when you have any weed in your system whatsoever?
I would be down for the motor vehicle. The smell outside, I feel like, gets a little bit dicey.
I mean, it would be unpopular, but that's one of the big problems here. When you give a city kind of carte blanche, open freedom to grow and use and all that, you see this happen all over the place in Colorado. You see this happen all over the place in California. It ruins the city. I was in D.C. right before Trump used the National Guard to crack down on everything there, and thank God he did. And I was just going from a meeting to lunch to a meeting, and I smelled so much weed just walking down the street in the urban core of D.C. that I was concerned that my suit was going to smell like weed when I was going into this super important meeting. So I think we can all agree that's not something we want. The only way that you could even consider legislation like this in a way that doesn't ruin our downtown area is if you make it highly illegal to do it outside. If this is what you want to do inside and you're an adult and you're not going to operate a motor vehicle, like, we live in America, but I don't want to have to smell it. I don't want to have to see it. I don't want children to see it and smell it.
Yeah. I mean, this was one of my big fears when I was about to move to Phoenix for the media director job with Turning Point, was all of these storefronts. Like, and you look around a city like this, and it's like all the vape shops would instantly become pot shops. Like, and in fact, I think they've been hedging their bets for the day that becomes a reality. That they're going to flip the switch, they're going to be selling pot, and then we're going to have storefronts everywhere. I think I could be in favor of some form of legalization if the marketplace was kept online. I think that also would create a lot of competition. But I do get a little bit frustrated when we're losing tax revenue to states that we border, like Illinois, where for some Tennesseans it's a 15-minute drive, and then Illinois gets that tax revenue. I feel like that should be Tennessee's.
And I understand that argument. It's tough because in states where pot has been legalized, we have seen crime go through the roof. We've seen all kinds of societal markers go in a negative way. Family formation numbers look worse. But that doesn't mean that legalizing pot causes all of that. Oftentimes, when pot becomes more popular, it's actually the result of families that are failing, marriages that are failing, people who are out of work. It's kind of a chicken or the egg type argument. But there's kind of a quick hack when you're traveling to a new city. If you want to see the spiritual and social health of a lot of the people there, how many pot shops do you see? How many strip clubs do you see? Because people in happy marriages don't go to strip clubs, and people who are satisfied with their life, who are healthy, who are coping, who serve some type of higher power who helps them get through their life, they're not going to a pot shop every day. That's just the reality.
But you're not against it for your everyday American who is law-abiding and willing to do it in the privacy of their own home.
If they're willing to do it in the privacy of their own home, and they understand that it is highly illegal to drive when they have any in their system, and they understand that it's highly illegal to smoke it outside so that children and all of us have to smell it and see it, then that's something worth entertaining. But that's not the way it's played out in any of these cities, because you know what's going to happen politically. The first person gets arrested and charged with a felony for smoking outside on the street, and it turns into this huge national news of police overreach. So it's tough. One thing leads to another. But fundamentally, I mean, as an American, if you can drink in your own home, then why would you not be able to do that? But don't drive. Don't do it outside. Essentially, don't infringe on the freedoms of any other American. And this is where a lot of the libertarians will fight me. And I get it. You want everyone to be able to do what they want. But when their liberties are infringing on my liberty to walk down the street and not have my suit smell like weed before I walk out on my next meeting, then that's not liberty. That's this person's bad decisions infringing on my freedom to live a nice life here in Nashville.
Phone lines are open, 615-737-9986. Let's start with Steven on the road on weed. What's up, Steve?
Hey, what's up, guys? Hey, man, yeah, this is, I agree with you guys 100%. You know, and I've used it myself in the past, so I know the effects of it, and I know a lot of people have hard lives. I would say that, you know, for the person that is using it on a daily basis, they're wasting a lot of time in their life. There's many more things they could be doing, especially if they have families. They're wasting a lot of time that they could be spending with their families. And growing their children. And for the children, you know, they need to be in learning mode, you know, until they're out of college or whatnot. So it definitely, even if they do it for recreational purposes and people are able to do it in their homes, there should still be some kind of law that you can't be just smoking it in your house with children around or something, you know.
I agree 100%. I would add that to the other stipulations. I think that's brilliant.
Appreciate the call, Steve. And I think it's also important to point out that this is not your grandfather's weed from the 60s. I mean, it has been juiced up, and the THC content is now at, 90% on some of these extracts and concentrates, whereas it was, 20%, 13%? Back in the day when your dad was rolling a joint on his record case.
And there's something else we need to add here, and this is not how it is with everyone, but when you do marijuana, especially at very high THC levels, you find out if you have a genetic susceptibility to schizophrenia. And this is something that is sometimes overused in political arguments as a scare tactic, but it is real.
But people hear this and they instantly go to reefer madness.
Well, there are some people who are genetically susceptible to schizophrenia, and if they did a lot of weed at a high THC level, they could begin having schizophrenic symptoms. It could unlock that problem in their life, which was never there before. And I mean, especially when to young guys, young women thinking about doing this, do you want to find out if that's you? Like, I don't think that's an amazing risk worth taking.
To the point of the marijuana getting stronger and the medical side effects, the hallucinations, you'll get the counter argument where it's like that is all propaganda. Where the original reefer madness was, because in the original reefer madness was because the hemp industry was going to overtake the plastic industry. Others will say that in today's current climate, you're dealing with propaganda from the alcohol lobby. Is there even?
And that's 100% true. I have a big problem with the alcohol lobby.
It's huge. Is there even an actual way forward for marijuana with the alcohol lobby currently? Because they're fighting against even the stuff that's already been legalized here in Tennessee.
And I think that there's a path forward because alcohol is getting less and less popular the younger you get. So it used to be that young men were kind of like the holy grail of the alcohol demo, and they're just buying absurd amounts of Bud Light, and they're drinking a 24-pack themselves over the weekend, and I mean, crazy stuff. There are, not saying that no young men live like that. There are much fewer, and at first, when I saw these numbers last year, I thought, oh my goodness, there might be some type of spiritual revival. That's part of it. Some of these young men are drinking less or not drinking because they're following God, and the Bible says like 100 times not to get drunk and not to lose control. But there's actually a secondary reason. I did a deep dive on some of the stats on Gen Z attitudes actually a few days ago. And I'm actually seeing increasing evidence that there are two reasons. One is a lot of them are becoming serious Christians and they're not getting drunk. But secondly, a lot of them are just withdrawing from society, and not drinking and not being social with other people is actually part of what's being cut out. So with these young men not drinking, some of it's because they're following God. Some of them, it's because they are just staring at a screen and watching porn and playing video games all day. And they don't want to drink because they live in a fully technological world.
And I think that a lot of that can go back to the blame on COVID. Because when you were in high school and you're supposed to be going to parties with your friends, you were locked inside. When you were at college and you were going to be pledging to a fraternity, you were locked inside. So there were a lot of these Gen Zers who had these really formative years that, you know, we in our younger years might have filled with a weekend laughing and drinking with the boys, that they didn't have that opportunity at all.
Yep, I agree 100%. So part of it is the result of COVID, but also a big part of it is the advance of technology in our everyday life. You want to guess how many hours a 10 to 14-year-old in America spends on their phone?
Oh, my gosh.
As of a few months ago. How many hours?
9 hours a day?
Yeah, that's exactly it. 9 hours a day.
Yep.
9 hours a day. It's wild that you knew that. So you got good instincts, Chris.
Well, I just keep my kids away from the phone.
And that's very wise. There's a reason why Steve Jobs, when he invented the iPad, went scorched earth to make sure that no one in his family who was not an adult had access to one.
Bingo.
Because he saw the immediate neuroscience of it.
We got a lot of people that want to talk about medical weed. Todd in Smyrna up first. What's up, Todd?
Hey, how's it going? Nice to talk to you.
Likewise. What do you got?
Yeah, I want to ask your guest there. Has he ever smoked weed?
No, I have not, and I have no plans to.
How can you judge people on something you've never done?
So this is something that, I also would say that doing heroin is a bad idea, and I've never done heroin. At the end of the day, the moral justification for this has nothing to do with my experience, and it has everything to do with objective reality. I have never met anyone who started smoking weed frequently whose life got better. Have you?
Yeah, me.
Okay,
Me.
tell us your story.
I had cancer. Okay, and marijuana keeps nausea away from me really bad. I also have neuropathy in my feet from it, which helps as well. And for you to sit there and call people who do it losers is so hypocritical.
I mean, to be fair, Todd, to be fair, we were talking about recreational. Do you recreationally do Tylenol?
It doesn't matter. I do it daily.
But like, nobody does Tylenol for fun. I mean, that's what he's saying.
But I know people that pop ibuprofen and Tylenol every day for pain. Do you?
No, but I wouldn't necessarily call that recreational.
And by the way, if you have a specific medical need that is being helped by smoking marijuana, and you're doing it in your own home, you're not doing it out on the streets, you're not doing it around children, you're not operating a vehicle when you're on it, then you should 100% have the freedom to do that. And if it significantly helps symptoms of major medical issues like you've dealt with, then I would not judge you whatsoever for that. I'm talking about people who recreationally do it, like a lot of young men do, to make life easier, to take the challenge away from life, to eliminate those formative years where instead of experiencing hardship and allowing that pressure testing to happen and pushing through and growing closer to God and working harder and making something of yourself, you just smoke weed, watch porn, and kind of just coast through life.
You keep bringing God into this factor, which I don't think he belongs here, first of all, because have you read the Bible and his view on herb and THC? Have you?
Yeah, yes, I've read the Bible.
Okay, so and I have too. And just so you know, by the time I was 14 years old, I was preaching to congregations. I was raised by a preacher. My dad was a preacher. And what you're doing is you're judging people and telling them something's bad when you yourself hasn't even touched it and know nothing about it.
Because I know that,
doing that
through what we observe through objective reality in the nation, with the exception being that there are some people with serious medical issues who it helps, and I'm glad that is your story, and I'm glad that it helped you in such dramatic ways. For most people, and for everyone I've ever seen or ever heard of who uses it recreationally, it affects their life negatively.
What we observe through objective reality.
All right, Todd, we appreciate the call. I would say there's a difference between a 13-year-old who is skipping school to wake and bake with his bong and smoke weed all day and play video games than a veteran who just came back and is dealing with severe pain
I agree
or
100%.
PTSD. This conversation is not about medicinal marijuana. It's about the recreational bill, pot for potholes.
And I want to be proactive and explain my belief on that. I mean, if you are dealing with severe PTSD or cancer or some type of major condition and it helps you, it should be easy as an adult for you to be able to access that. I 100% believe that.
The guy that does afternoons here, Matt Murphy, has a story about a young girl that he knew personally that was dealing with seizures. Mm-hmm. And the CBD, I believe it was CBD at the time that he was talking about, it just cured her. Like it absolutely stepped in and made a huge difference. And I'm not discounting the medical effects of it. I just wonder if the recreational is the right idea. We got time for one more call on this side. Ethan in Columbia is pro-weed. What's up, Ethan?
Hi, how are you? Can you hear me pretty good?
Yeah, what do you got?
All right, great. So I wanted to go ahead and address the recreational matter, seeing as how I'm for it and all. So I guess to give some perspective, I used to be ridiculously... I was a nuisance to society. I mean, like, real bad, just life choices. I was terrible. I mean that not from like a self-hatred kind of way, but like a self-accountability way of looking at it. It took me a very long time to find God. It took me a long time to correct what I believe was to correct certain wrongs that I committed in my life. Genesis 1:29 states that all plant-bearing seed was made for man to consume. When I put a marijuana seed into the ground and I water it and I grow it for my own use, I'm not harming anyone. I'm not bringing about a detriment to society. It's no different than if I planted a pine tree into the ground and were to flourish it and make it grow. There's no difference. I mean, I guess you want to get technical. Yes, you can't light pine needles on fire, and there happen to be some effects.
I mean, I guess the argument that I would say is, Josh said that he's fine with you smoking it in your house and growing it on your own. If you were cultivating pine trees and you were covered in sap and getting that on Josh's suit before you went into a business meeting, I think you would probably feel the same way about the cultivation of pine trees. And
also, it's important to address what you said about Genesis 1. So you're describing what God created before the fall. So in Genesis 3, when man chose to sin and creation fell, then you saw essentially a perversion of the created order. So before Genesis 3, all of the plants God made had some type of use. There is no such thing as a poisonous plant. So now we have all kinds of poisonous plants all over the world where if you consume it, you die. You have all kinds of plants that create psychoactive reactions. That's why we have drugs. That's why we're even having this debate today. You have marijuana and you have cocaine. You have all kinds of opioids. So you can't use Genesis 1 to say that we should be consuming all these things, because if you're going to stay intellectually consistent, then you're saying that we should be able to safely consume poison. And because those are also plants, then that argument does not hold water.
You've got to do things to those other elements for them to become useful. While, yes, opium does in fact grow in the wild, I guess I just want to make sure that I'm understanding your perspective on this. You don't have an issue with the regular user who is in his own home doing his own thing, his own purposes.
I have no political issue. If you're not doing it around kids, you're not doing it out on the street where we have to see it and smell it, and you're not operating a vehicle, you are an adult American, and what you do at your own home is, at least on this issue, is up to you. It's not up to me, and it's not up to the government. But morally, I will challenge you. I'll challenge you with this. If you stop smoking weed today, your life would get better. I would bet $1 million that your relationships would get better. You would get healthier. You would probably do better professionally, however well you're doing now. You would level up in your life if that's something that you cut out. And that's true with 99% of people. There's the 1% who have serious medical issues who it helps. But for 99% of people, if that's something you cut out, your life would be better in a year.
Absolutely. I'll take that into consideration. Thank you. You have a wonderful day.
Hey. Ethan, appreciate the call. We'll take more of your calls on the other side. It's 11:27. This is Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
That was good. I had to address that.
.30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Drivers in Rutherford County, we've got road work, and it has the right two lanes at 24 westbound blocked between Almaville Road, exit 70, and Sam Ridley Parkway, exit 66. And Pegram have Fallon power lines blocking Sam's Creek Road just south of Sam's Creek Road, of Old Sam's Creek Road, I should say. Operation Epic Fury. President Trump, while backing off hitting Iran's key electrical plants, if they didn't open the Strait of Hormuz by last night, is now giving Iran until Friday to make a deal to end the war. Here's Rachel Scott.
The president is facing increasing pressure to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Right now, the average price of gas nationwide is about $3.98 a gallon, but experts say that will likely rise to $4 a gallon in the next 24 hours.
Yeah, right now in Middle Tennessee, Gas Buddy putting the average price per gallon at $3.69. That's up $1.07 since last month. Elsewhere in Middle Tennessee this morning, Channel 4's Holly Thompson.
5 people, including a police officer, were bitten by 2 dogs in Smyrna. And now the owners of those dogs are facing charges. Well, the Smyrna Police Department says officers responded to the area of Sam Ridley Parkway to reports of 2 aggressive dogs attacking people. Several agencies responded to the scene and secured the dogs. We know police say a 19-year-old woman was taken to the hospital for treatment, and the officer and a teenage boy arrived at a local emergency room for treatment as well. Right now, we're working to get more information on the dogs and those who were hurt.
Election 2026 in Tennessee. A new Signal poll shows Senator Marsha Blackburn with a dominant lead in the Republican primary race for governor. The survey projects Blackburn winning 58% of the vote. Her closest GOP challenger, Congressman John Rose, sits at just 7%, with 30% of voters still undecided, according to this poll. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
37 minutes past the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? I'm Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by our friends at Better Water LLC. We got Josh Tifo in here, Senior Director for Turning Point USA and Turning Point Action. Half the audience loves you. Half the audience hates you right now. So that's how you know it's a good topic.
That sounds like most times I ever open up my mouth, including if it's like a family dinner. I'd be like, two people are like, you're totally crazy. Two people are like, wow, I love you. So brave.
Phone lines are open, 615-737-9986. So the pot for potholes, recreational legalization, 21 and up. You get to have 2 ounces. You can cultivate up to 12 plants, 15% state sales tax on cannabis business with revenue directly benefiting roads and bridge repairs, plus some community investments. That always makes me raise my eyebrows when 2 Democrats are saying, and some community investments.
It's going to magically end up with some Soros leftist group.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They'll be on a flight to Cuba to celebrate communism.
That's always how it is. So if we want to have this talk, then I did have 2 assertions, but one of your callers made a great point. I have 3 assertions. It should be a felony to do it outside where I have to smell it, where you make my suit smell like weed when I'm walking to some meeting downtown. It should be a felony to do it around kids, and it should be a felony to operate a vehicle when you're under the influence at any level. If you're willing to accept those things, then yeah, adults can do what they want in their home. That's fine.
There are other ballots or other pieces of legislation moving forward. One of them is a medical cannabis ballot question. Several bills would place non-binding advisory questions on the November 2026 general election ballot to gauge voter support for regulated medical cannabis programs. You're good on medical cannabis.
Yeah, 100%. As long as you don't have any crazy, insane rules, as long as you're keeping it away from kids. And I would actually put the same stipulations on it. You can't use it outside. You can't take away my freedom to not want to walk through a town and just smell weed all over the place. You can't do it around kids. You can't operate a vehicle.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, and actually...
And there's plenty of prescription medication that come with the warning, do not drive a vehicle with this.
Yeah, 100%. And, I mean, if we have the larger talk about recreational use, then you actually eliminate the need to come up with a laundry list of ways that it's medically admissible. I mean, it's simple. If you're an adult, and if you're not doing it around kids, you're not doing it out in public, and you're not operating a vehicle, I mean, medical or not, if we're Americans, you have the freedom to drink a bunch of Jack Daniels when you get home after work. You should have the freedom to do that as long as you're not infringing on the freedoms of other people, especially children. And now I switch to a moral argument. Your life will be much better if you don't drink. Your life will be much better if you don't smoke, whether it be tobacco or marijuana. And just because I'm cool with legal use of some of these substances when adults are in their own home, not around children, doesn't mean that we shouldn't draw lines for other substances. We have seen disastrous social consequences, especially in the Pacific Northwest, when they've legalized everything. So that's something we have to make a judgment call on. Cocaine, heroin, fentanyl, these are substances that could be a big problem. But I will say there's another argument. I don't hear it made often enough, but it actually should be the number one legalization argument. There are a lot of young Americans who die accidentally because of fentanyl-laced drugs. And bringing all of the whole marijuana thing into the light would significantly cut down on that.
Yeah, absolutely. And you'd also take money out of the pockets of the cartels that are still bringing illegal marijuana into this country.
And on top of that, you're freeing up a lot of the drug enforcement money to stop the opioid dealers and the heroin dealers and the cocaine dealers. I think it makes a lot of sense, but I don't think anything's going to get done in Tennessee because the Democrats are not going to agree to common sense provisions like making it illegal to use around children, absolute zero on operating a vehicle, not doing it in public. They're going to fight hard on that one. But you see it in pretty much any city where it gets legalized. It happens overnight. I mean, I avoid going to those cities because you just got to walk through the streets and smell weed.
Got a lot of callers on the line. Every single one of them is pro-weed. Let's start with Ann on the road. What's up, Ann? How are you?
I'm good. How are y'all?
I'm good. Give me your take.
I am pro-weed. I am in my late 50s. I do not drink, probably because I really don't like it, but I will say this. For me and the people that I know that smoke, alcohol will mess you up faster than weed will. Now, with that being said, I do agree you shouldn't smoke it around kids, and I smoke it at my home. I don't smoke it anywhere else, and I do it when I come home before I go to bed. It helps me to relax. It is not something that I do to party. I do not party. I'm too old for that crap. anyway, it is not all bad. And, you know, the guy that's with you today, I kind of sense that he has a little bit, and he thinks it's all bad. It really isn't. It is not as bad as people make it out to be.
And I
have smoked it since I was 15.
And if that's how you want to live your life and you're not doing it around kids, you're not operating a vehicle, you're not doing it in public, I mean, I think that should be your freedom as an American. Here's the biggest problem I see. I see the way that frequent marijuana use really kills a lot of the drive and youthful energy of young men. And I've seen this happen over and over and over again in my life. Men who they kind of relax into the status quo. They don't have that youthful male energy to build things, to form families. And I'm not speaking for everyone. There are people who smoke weed who have great families and build great businesses. I'm not overgeneralizing here, but it is a problem for a lot of people. And it's a problem, especially in light of what we're seeing, which is this growing culture of young men, especially, who are just locking themselves in their homes, staring at screens all day, smoking weed, drinking, and essentially withdrawing from society. I saw a study the other day, horrified me, that 40% of young men go through all of undergrad, all of college, without one romantic interaction with a woman. They don't even ask one woman out. They've given up on the idea of dating, and there's this subculture growing of people who just kind of lock themselves up in their homes, young men, and live this digital, sometimes substance overlaid reality that's missing out on the greatest things in life. That's a big economic problem. It's a big social problem. But to go back to your story, I mean, I don't understand how it's not already legal for you to do what you want to do as a grown woman in the United States of America.
Okay. Thank you. You guys have a great day.
You too, Ann. Appreciate it. Let's go to Lee in Spring Hill. What's up, Lee? How are you?
What's up, Chris Hand? How you doing, man?
I'm good. What do you got?
Man, I love your show. Just wanted to say that, man. I love when Dan comes on and he doesn't like your music, bro. I die laughing every time.
Okay, good. Let's go.
But my question is, I agree with a lot of points that your guest has. I really do, on the recreational side of it. But here's my thing. I'm a recovering alcoholic, and the California recovery, I've tried over 20 years to quit drinking. It's the only thing that works. I'm coming up on 6 months, May 3rd, for the first time in my life.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I feel so much better. I'm healthy. I mean, alcohol is the worst thing in the world, and that's legal. You can go buy it any day, anytime.
Especially for men, the way that it wrecks the way that God made our body, especially to just produce energy. I mean, it's crazy. I know that you're living it because you're probably feeling like you're on top of the world right now after 6 months.
I mean, I think that I think it's an easy argument to make
That's a mild understatement.
I think it's an easy argument to make that alcohol is worse than weed. I just do. Right. I think that's just an easy case. But that being said,
Here's my question, though, is, if he's against recreational, but you're against, or you understand the difference, obviously, between alcohol and marijuana. If it's only medicinal, if I go in there and tell him I'm a recovering alcoholic, the chances of me getting the medicinal card probably not very good, just because I'm saying I want to quit drinking. Anybody could say that. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So for it actually to benefit the majority of people like it has me, it needs to be it has to be recreational.
And I think the whole medicinal recreational divide, I think it's ridiculous to make this laundry list of like this counts as medicinal and this doesn't. I mean, we should have some type of simple solution where if you're an adult and you're not, and you understand that it's highly illegal to operate a vehicle when you're under the influence, you can't do it around kids, you can't do it out in public, then I mean, you're an American. You shouldn't have to give a reason why it's medicinal. It makes no sense to me why we fought so hard. And it is true that when you don't add those stipulations, it can be very bad for society. But also, Chris, you brought up a great point. I think it was off air. The alcohol lobby spends a lot of money to create all this red tape because, and I've got a big problem with the alcohol lobby, by the way. I'm going to make some people
too. Like, that the 75% of their profits come from individuals who are chronically drinking themselves to death.
Yeah, it's a serious problem. So again, I'm not saying it should be illegal. We tried that with prohibition, did not go well. And again, this is America. But not talking about what should be legal and illegal, I can definitively say that for 99% of people, unless you have some type of extreme medical condition or special situation, Your life will become dramatically better if you do not drink alcohol and you do not smoke weed. And you can fight me all day long. How about this? If you're going to fight me, try it. Call in a year later and tell me what happens to your relationships. Tell me what happens to the way that you think every day, the mental clarity that you have. Do you know what I noticed when I went from drinking occasionally to not drinking at all? I became noticeably sharper mentally, noticeably smarter. My memory is better than I thought it was. I had different limitations in my head because I was not in a 100% detox state where I was only eating natural food, never consuming alcohol, kind of doing all the right things health-wise. What you can unlock as far as your own human potential when you do not drink, when you do not smoke, and when you eat real food, it's amazing. If you think your life is great, it can get a lot better when you make those simple decisions.
Jordan in South Dakota. We're now up to one listener in South Dakota. And
I love hunting in South Dakota.
What's up, Jordan?
Hey, how are y'all?
Good. What do you got?
Man, I just been listening today. I just heard about the show. I've never listened before.
Well, I appreciate you. Welcome.
I do smoke weed, and I have been for a little while now. And I was listening to some of your points, and you said something that I just wanted to say something about. You said that 99% of the world life would get better if they don't smoke weed and drink. Correct?
Yes, 100%.
Well, why is that? Like exactly, like could you tell me like why? Like
so
what?
When you're looking specifically at the health situation, it's much more drastic with alcohol than it is with marijuana. Unless you're talking about kids and teenagers, because marijuana messes up neural development even more than alcohol does. So specifically with alcohol, so first as a man, you are wrecking your natural testosterone production. So let's say that you're a hardworking, red-blooded American man and you have high testosterone and you're nice and healthy and everything's good. You would be even stronger and even sharper and even stronger if you were not introducing a toxin into your body that dragged your endocrine production, your testosterone production every night. That's when you make it. You make it when you go to sleep. That's why you got to make sure to eat all the right things and try not to go to bed with any alcohol in your system, because that way you can maximize how much of that you make every night for the next day. So medically, there are some obvious ones, but there's actually a deeper argument that I want to make, especially to men. So as men, when we go through hard things and we push through and we experience hardship and then we come out the other side, that's a big formative thing. That's what hardens you as a man. That's what makes you a better husband. That's what makes you a better dad. That's what makes you a better athlete. That's what makes you better at work, better at running your business. And when you do what most men do, and they use some type of substance, whether it be alcohol, whether it be marijuana, to dull that stress, dull that tension, dull that pain, you are actually shortchanging the process of a difficult situation, forging you into a stronger version of yourself the next day. So here's the tragedy of the modern era. There's a lot of men who could be much stronger versions of themselves if they didn't drink or smoke whenever they were feeling tension, and instead they embraced it and they internalized it and they went to God and they said, God, help me to become a stronger man through this, and then you push through it without a substance. That opportunity cost is actually the biggest reason. And I could go on with neuroscience and medical and all that, and some people care, some people don't. But the biggest argument I'd make, especially for men, is that when you go to a substance to push through a difficult situation or take the edge off, instead of becoming a stronger version of yourself to carry that load mentally or physically, you're robbing yourself of a chance to get a little bit tougher that night when you come home and you want to check out, but instead you lean in.
Okay, I get it.
Hey, appreciate the call, Jordan. We got time for one more. Jay in West Nashville. What's up, Jay? How are you?
Hey, I'm great. How's it going, bro?
Hey, man, I'm good. What do you got?
All right, man. So who is this? Who is this expert I'm talking to? Sorry, I didn't catch. Is Josh something?
Hey, what's up? My name's Josh. How are you doing today?
Josh T.
What are your qualifications? Like, what are your qualifications to speak on this, real quick? Just trying to get a quick background. Sorry.
Oh, just so you know a little bit about me. So I met.
You were just handed a voice. Okay, listen. You sound like you have never walked a day in real life. These are people who.
So I'm gonna put Jay on hold for a second. He's on.
Man, I was about to tell him I was gonna answer his question.
Give him your credentials, and then we'll get Jay back on.
Absolutely. So I've done a lot in the business world, a lot in the political world, but the one thing most people know me for is working alongside Charlie Kirk to build Turning Point USA. So he recruited me back in 2014, pretty much right after he started Turning Point in his garage, and we kind of rolled up our sleeves and traveled the country and made the pitch to high school and college students that it could actually be cool to be a conservative, that socialism wasn't just the future that we should all check out and assume was going to happen. And at the time, it was wildly unpopular to do that, but we worked and we worked and we worked. And Charlie, to his credit, worked harder than anyone I've ever seen in my life. And now, 12 years later, I'm a senior executive at Turning Point USA and Turning Point Action. And my biggest qualification is just the sheer amount of time I have spent talking with, whether it be at public events or private conversations or whatever, with America's youth. I've spent 12 years talking with and spending time with young people in America, as well as a lot of other people in the conservative movement. And that'd be my qualification and my experience. I've spent a dozen years spending time with America's youth and seeing what works, seeing what doesn't.
Is that good enough for qualifications, Jay?
No, I mean, I guess I didn't. I just kind of paid attention to driving while he was talking. But anyways, see, you stand there with such a moral high ground, speaking from a place that you really don't experience. I guarantee you, if you hopped in and smoked a blunt with me right now, you'd have the best day of your life. Now, what was Charlie's view on weed? Not yours, Charlie's.
He had a very similar view to me, although he was a little more aggressive politically. He was actually against recreational use in most cases. For me, I don't understand how you can ban recreational. What was that?
How do you feel about Iran?
Oh, this is Jay. This is what Jay does.
Oh no, that's good. Let's talk about Iran. So 9 times out of
answers. Don't power wash me with gibberish. Just quick answer. How do you feel about Iran? Support it or against it?
9 times out of 10 or more, it is a bad idea for the United States to get involved in Middle Eastern conflicts. So you can argue all day whether or not we should have entered it, but now we need to win and get out of there as soon as possible, and we absolutely cannot put American boots on the ground. That's how I feel about Iran. Do you agree with me?
We need to stop too much government in our life. Do you agree with me that if you ate McDonald's for 5 years, you would be less healthier than someone who smoked weed?
Jay, you keep moving the goalposts.
So
you just asked about Iran.
I mean, that is highly that is highly likely. I'd say if somebody smokes weed every day but eats good food, and then somebody eats McDonald's every day for 5 years and then doesn't smoke weed, yes, the McDonald's person would be more unhealthy. I agree with you.
What's more dangerous, McDonald's or weed?
He just said he agreed with you, Jay.
I just said I agreed with you that would have more dire health consequences.
So how about the next show you come on, y'all get fast food out of our lives instead of the natural herb?
Have you been listening to how I said that if you're an adult and you're not doing it in public or around kids or while you drive?
Charlie Kirk's message don't hit as hard when it ain't him giving it, brother. Hey, thank you, Chris. Have a good day.
Jay, the guy's a mess.
What a guy.
He's winning hearts and minds.
Maybe today is the day Jay decides to stop smoking weed. This could be the day.
Josh, how do we keep up with you online?
At Josh Tifo, ThiFault. At Josh Tifo, ThiFault.
Appreciate your time, as always. Gun owners and anyone storing valuables at home, let me give you a quick piece of advice. You don't want to buy a safe based on a sale price. A lot of safes you see at the big box store, they look impressive, they look nice, but they're actually built for marketing. They're not built for protection. If a teenager can tip over your safe or they can pry it open, you bought a filing cabinet, not a safe. Spoiler alert. If you want a safe that's actually going to protect what matters, that's when you need to call Parker Safes and Vaults in Shelbyville. They carry well-known brands, Liberty, Rhino Metals, but also serious high-security safes from companies like Graf Under, American Security, ISM, Incus. Aaron Parker knows security, Air Force security veteran, and him and his sons run everything. It's a true family business. They'll deliver and install themselves discreetly and professionally. They're based in Shelbyville, but that's not another country. They will serve all of Nashville, the surrounding areas, and even some of the other states. Call 931-842-6445. Hop on YouTube and search Parker Safes for a detailed video review of all the safes they have in stock, or just hit the website, parkersafes.com.